I discovered my stepfather's affection for me was abnormal. To avoid gossip, I started dating a boy. Not long after, my boyfriend was pushed into a concrete mixer, his limbs crushed. I heard it with my own ears, saw it with my own eyes. The perpetrator was my stepfather. He was covered in blood, holding me, weeping as he said, "Daisy, I'm sorry. I was wrong. My name is Daisy. I was a child with no father, no mother. To be precise, I once had a mother, and in my memories, she was very, very beautiful, always surrounded by strange men throughout the year. But when I was 3, my mother heartlessly abandoned me to a stranger. She pointed at the man and told me, 'Little one, this will be your father from now on. You must be good and obey him.' With that, she turned her back and walked away without a second glance. From then on, I had a new family, and that man became my stepfather. He began to raise me himself. I must say, he was meticulously caring, fulfilling my every need. Yet, I could never truly see him as my father, because I felt he wasn't normal. He always looked at me with a greasy gaze, liked to stroke my head, liked to hug me close, liked to touch my tiny belly. When I was small, I didn't recognize any problem. But as I grew older, I felt it became increasingly strange. Perhaps this is what people call a pervert. Every time we went for a walk in the apartment complex, everyone's eyes would turn towards us. Then they would say to me, "Daisy has grown quite a bit. Time truly flies. When your father brought you home, you were just this tiny. You are his everything. He loves you so much. You must live well with your father, okay?" As they spoke, they even used their hands to describe my tiny self. I couldn't stand their nonsense anymore, so I turned and walked away. Back home, I curled up on the sofa, silent. My stepfather stood beside me with a fawning expression, his voice gentle. "My precious Daisy, don't be angry anymore. If you don't like them, we won't see them again. We can take a detour if we see them, all right?" I didn't want to pay him any mind. To be honest, my stepfather wasn't bad looking. He had delicate features, a tall and slender figure, but his complexion was exceptionally pale, and his demeanor always carried a gloomy aura. Perhaps that was also one of the reasons I was afraid. Seeing my silence, my stepfather lunged forward and directly pressed himself against me, pinning my arms and legs. His thin lips pressed down, carrying a cool, minty scent. My stepfather didn't smoke. According to him, he couldn't let his Daisy breathe second-hand smoke. He lightly kissed my neck, burying his head and letting out a soft groan. "Daisy, do you love Daddy?" "No. This isn't right. This isn't right." I panicked, struggling wildly, crying out, "Stop, Dad. Don't do this. We're father and daughter." My stepfather's face bore several bloody scratches from me. He looked up, his expression grim. The flickering light above made his face look demonic. I thought I'd be slapped immediately. But to my surprise, my stepfather merely chuckled like a madman. He used his long, slender fingers to gently caress my face. "Daisy, you're not being good. Why do you reject Daddy?" I screamed in despair, repeating, "We are father and daughter." But that didn't awaken his conscience or morals. He licked a wound near his lips, a dark, glint flashing in his eyes. He ignored my words, smiling faintly. But Daddy likes it. A chilling current shot up from my feet. I had only one thought. Escape. Escape from him. Run far away. Enduring such torment, many years slipped by, and I finally grew up. At 20, while out alone, I met a very handsome boy. I didn't have any money, standing outside an ice cream shop, yearningly looking inside, but no one paid me any attention. Of course, I knew eating for free was wrong, so I was about to leave. Unexpectedly, a large hand took mine. The boy's bright and clear voice echoed in my ear. What's wrong? Do you want to eat this? I turned around to face a youthful, charming face. I was instantly captivated. The boy bought me an ice cream cone, smiling as he handed it to me. I took 2 licks. It tasted so good. The boy watched me eat with interest, asking, "Do you live nearby? Where are your parents?" He talked a lot, bright, cheerful, handsome, completely different from my stepfather. Seeing my continued silence, he pouted, "So cold. Why aren't you saying anything? Let's get to know each other. My name is Eric. I hope we can meet again." Arriving home, I immediately saw my stepfather's figure standing by the window. He seemed to still be looking down in some direction. Following his gaze, I saw Eric's retreating back. Even though I returned very quietly, my stepfather still heard me. He slowly turned, staring at me intently. By then, it was late afternoon, and the gloomy light on him made me shrink back in fear. "Daisy, where have you been?" I trembled, backing up 2 steps. I just went out to play a little." My stepfather slowly advanced towards me, each step feeling like it was treading on my heart, until I had nowhere left to retreat, my back pressed against the cold wall. His large hand gently gripped my chin. His long eyes slightly narrowed, scrutinizing my face. "Daisy, you're not being good. You secretly ate ice cream." After saying that, his finger lingered on my chin. Then he brought it before my face to show me. It was a little bit of white ice cream. No wonder my stepfather caught me sneaking food outside. I couldn't argue. Unexpectedly, in the next moment, my stepfather's hand suddenly rested on my lower belly. I thought he would do something. So terrified, I didn't dare move. But he only gently rubbed it, his voice full of doting affection and helplessness. "You often get stomach aches. Don't eat cold things." Later that night, I lay restlessly in bed, thinking about my stepfather's unusual affection for me. I could actually feel that his feelings for me had crossed the boundary of a normal father-daughter relationship. But I couldn't guess what he was truly thinking. He never clearly articulated it to me. My scalp tingled as if electrocuted, and I slapped myself hard. I was truly an animal. What was I thinking? No matter what kind of relationship he had with my mother, he was still my stepfather, my father now. How could I think in that way? The secret thoughts in my heart were forcefully suppressed, locked away with 10 chains. I was afraid that one day those secrets would be discovered. My stepfather and I would be ostracized by society. I took a deep breath, determined to sever all these strange thoughts. The best way was to start a new life. I thought I should start a normal relationship. The next morning, my stepfather prepared a lavish breakfast, placing 2 portions at opposite ends of the table. One for me, one for him. He seemed very particular about cleanliness, always eating separately from me over the years. This made me feel especially odd. He said he loved me, yet he seemed to despise me in such a way. He said he didn't love me, but... Anyway, I ate breakfast distractedly, listening to my stepfather say, "I have to go to the hospital today, Daisy. Be a good girl at home, okay?" Of course, I wouldn't be good. As soon as my stepfather left the house, I secretly snuck out. I had thought it through. If I wanted to love, I absolutely had to find a man. But I didn't know many men. Eric was one of them. I met Eric at the ice cream shop entrance. He wore a gray tracksuit, exuding youth and sunshine. Standing there, he imprinted himself deeply in my eyes, also leading my heart to make a decision. From then on, my stepfather went out every day, leaving early and returning late, looking busy. Each time he came home, his complexion was unnaturally pale, as if he might collapse at any moment. Taking advantage of his absence, I began to secretly spend time with Eric. He bought me many delicious things, took me out, and even brushed my hair. Whenever I saw him being clumsy, I would burst out laughing. Seeing my face like that, Eric would feign anger, mumbling, "All right," daring to laugh at me. But the playful slap only landed on my head, and then he tenderly stroked my hair. As our feelings warmed, I decided to bring Eric home, to let my stepfather see him, to sever the vague feelings between us. Eric and I waited a long time at home, but my stepfather still hadn't returned. Eric grew impatient and began to wander around the house, looking at things. Looking at a photo on the wall, Eric mused. "Daisy, your relationship with your dad is really good." Following his gaze, I looked at the photo on the wall. I was in my stepfather's arms, and he was tenderly kissing my forehead. The caption on the photo read, "Taken on May 15th, 2020. My beloved daughter, Daisy, and I." It truly wasn't the atmosphere of a normal father-daughter relationship. I panicked, wanting to explain something. But Eric stepped forward and hugged me tightly, his voice deep and warm. "It's okay. I'll protect you well from now on too." I was somewhat touched. It was getting late, and finally there was a sound at the door. My stepfather opened it, his face pale and exhausted, his arms full of various items. "Daisy, Daddy bought you some delicious things," he called out softly to me, but then he directly faced Eric, who was standing in the living room. The two men stared at each other for quite a while, and the atmosphere felt strange. I quickly introduced them. "Dad, this is Eric, my boyfriend. Eric, this is my dad." To my surprise, Eric smiled at my stepfather and was the one to extend his hand first. Tatty John, isn't it? Long time no see. My stepfather looked at him deeply. "Eric, hello." I was very surprised by their demeanor. Did they know each other? My stepfather laid out a whole spread of delicious food. Since it was late, he even let Eric stay the night. Lying in bed, I felt something strange tossing and turning, unable to sleep. Getting up to get some water in the middle of the night, I heard whispers at the end of the hallway. Clearly, it was my stepfather and Eric talking. My stepfather asked, "What do you think, Eric?" "Good. I like Daisy very much." My stepfather's voice was a little choked. All right, then transfer the money to my account. You can take Daisy tomorrow. After saying that, my stepfather paused for a moment, then continued, I'll be going away for a while. Please take good care of her for me. Eric's clear voice was full of laughter. Don't worry, Mr. Taeyon. Ta. He. My breathing suddenly became ragged. My stepfather and Eric not only knew each other, but he was selling me. Eric was giving money to my stepfather. Wasn't that my bride price? My stepfather was leaving this city. Would I never see him again? My mind was a tangled mess as I stumbled back to my room, feeling dizzy. I don't know how much time passed, but in the darkness, someone secretly opened my room door. With practiced familiarity, he came to my bedside, gently lay down, and held me close. A slightly cold hand reached out, gently resting on me. I heard my stepfather whisper very softly into my ear, Daisy, you must be a good girl from now on. Daddy won't be by your side anymore. You must remember Daddy. I thought of my stepfather's increasingly pale face lately. My heart, always restless with fear. But wasn't this the outcome I wanted? I sought a boyfriend to escape my stepfather's control and his twisted affection. Clearly, I was about to succeed. Why was there an indescribable sadness in my heart? The next morning, my stepfather woke very early. Oh, he made me a final breakfast. Plain, but nutritious. I really liked it. After eating, he quietly helped me pack my luggage. I could even see his fingers tremble. I had a lot of belongings, especially dresses and all my toys from childhood, even my sleeping pillow. My stepfather carefully packed everything. He shared his usual gloomy demeanor. A hint of longing appeared on his face. He hugged me, burying his face in my neck, his warm breath on me, making my skin crawl. Then he finally made up his mind and warned Eric seriously. Daisy is a good child, the daughter I love most. You must treat her well. When I return, I will find you anytime. If I discover you've done anything bad to her, you're dead. My stepfather didn't come out to see me off. I looked up and saw the house where I had lived for 20 years. The window was slightly open. I wondered if my stepfather was standing there, watching me. Perhaps because of the strong wind today, my eyes felt like sand had flown into them, unconsciously wanting to tear up. Fortunately, Eric was still by my side. He gently stroked my head, his voice soft. Daisy, don't be sad. You still have me. Eric put my luggage in the car, then told me to sit in the passenger seat, even gently buckling my seatbelt for me, smiling charmingly. Let's go home. Because of his bright and excited voice, I too, unconsciously, felt a little anticipation for the life ahead. That's right. I'm an adult now. I can date, marry, have children. I'm old enough to completely leave my stepfather. I'm no longer the pathetic child who used to follow my mother, eating from hand to mouth. I don't know how long we drove, but the scenery around us became increasingly deserted until we arrived at a villa in the suburbs. Eric got out of the car, stood in front of the hood, and spread his arms towards me. Daisy, welcome to our home. I couldn't help but snort a laugh at his childish gesture. The villa was very large, with many rooms, most of them locked. Eric showed me a room in the corner, calmly instructing, "You'll stay in this one from now on." I was a little surprised. I didn't expect him not to sleep with me. What a gentleman. Of course, I happily accepted. I was about to ask him about my luggage. Without my pillow and those toys, I wouldn't sleep well. But Eric had already put all my luggage into a storage room, smiling widely as he patted my head. "Those things are all old. Don't keep them anymore. I'll buy you new ones later." I felt a little helpless, but thinking about starting a new life and cutting ties with the past, it seemed for the best. So I didn't bring up the luggage again. I wandered around the villa. Besides Eric and me, there was no one else in this vast house. But he said a cleaner would come weekly on a fixed schedule. It was only then that I learned Eric's true profession. He was a streamer, normally living off the money he earned from live streaming. Most of the rooms in the villa were locked, and I had no interest in seeing inside. Even Eric's main bedroom was locked. I walked quietly, the dim lights stretching my shadow into a long, trailing silhouette. Suddenly, the lock on a door ahead rattled softly, and a strange wailing sound came from within. Curious, I stepped forward. As I pushed the door open, a dazzling white light swept through, and I immediately fainted. When I woke up, I was in my room in the villa. Looking outside, it was already morning. Thinking of the strange room last night and that bizarre white light, I rubbed my aching forehead, quickly washed my face, and went to look for Eric. The villa, already deserted, was now even more empty. All the rooms were still locked. Eric was nowhere to be seen. I went downstairs and found the living room on the first floor in utter chaos. Chairs and tables were overturned everywhere. It looked like a fight had just taken place. Eric's live streaming equipment was gone. In a corner of the dirty carpet, I spotted a small patterned stone, no bigger than my fingernail. That was my stepfather's. Or rather, it was a gift I gave my stepfather when I was little. Back then, I didn't understand anything about boys and girls. My stepfather often took me out. The first time I went to the beach, I was indescribably happy. Picked up a strange patterned stone and excitedly gave it to him. For all these years, he always treated it like a treasure, threading it onto a red string and wearing it around his neck as a necklace. Whenever anyone asked, he would proudly say, "This is the first gift Daisy ever gave me." What happened after that? After that, I never really gave him anything else. Now, that stone had appeared in the villa. Did that mean my stepfather had been here? Eric and I had just arrived, and my stepfather had immediately come looking. Now, Eric was missing. What on earth was going on? Confused, I decided to go back to my old house to see. It took me a long while to return to the house I shared with my stepfather. To my surprise, the living room and other rooms were empty. But from the study, a strange moaning sound could be heard. The study was originally designed to be soundproof. Moreover, I remember that my stepfather had specially renovated this house to reduce noise. When I was little, I was very mischievous and liked to make a lot of noise in the house. The neighbors often complained. To let me play freely, my stepfather apologized to the neighbors and then replaced all the materials in the house with soundproofing. From then on, almost nothing could be heard from inside the rooms. It was also very difficult for people outside or on other floors to hear any activity from inside the house. Luckily, my hearing was exceptionally sharp, and I subtly recognized that my stepfather, Tae-jun, and Eric were in the study. I tiptoed closer, silently pushing the door open, just a crack. Before my eyes, a stream of fresh red blood was seeping through the wood grain of the floor. Following the trail of blood, I saw the pale face of my boyfriend, Eric. Ah! He was naked, wearing only a pair of underwear. His wrists were now covered in cuts, blood continuously flowing down. Opposite Eric was a man with his back to me, his long, slender fingertips playing with a dagger. I recognized him at a glance. It was my stepfather, Tae-jun. Eric, do you admit your mistake? Tae-jun's voice was ice cold. In that moment, even though I couldn't see his face, I could feel the cruelty radiating from every strand of his hair. Eric was drenched in sweat from the pain, his pale lips trembling uncontrollably. His once bright face was now distorted by agony. Yet he still laughed, his tone full of provocation. Mistake? What did I do wrong? I too was a little bewildered. Yes, what had Eric done wrong? Why, after just one night, were Tae-jun and Eric filled with such deep-seated hatred? It made no sense. Where's Daisy? Give Daisy back to me. Tae-jun suddenly went mad, grabbing the knife in his hand and repeatedly stabbing Eric. Eric screamed in agony. No! Ah! Don't! 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 I couldn't bear to watch and was about to step out to persuade Tae-jun. If he had agreed to let me be with Eric, then he shouldn't commit such illegal acts anymore. The more he did this, the more I wanted to get away from him. An anonymous fire of rage burned brighter and brighter within me. Even if he hurt my boyfriend, I would never love him. If you won't admit your guilt, then fine. Everything Daisy went through, you will go through exactly the same. Tae-jun's voice was deep, as if from hell. I was shocked by that strange sentence, standing still, not daring to move. My eyes watched Tae-jun walk to one side and plug in a frightening machine. I recognized it instantly. It was a concrete mixer used at construction sites. Why did Tae-jun have something like this in his study? After he plugged it in, the machine's roar filled the room. Eric no longer cared about the pain. His face filled with terror, screaming incessantly. Tae-jun, you're insane. Damn it, you're really insane. This is murder. You'll go to jail. But Tae-jun didn't respond. He walked to the other side and began adjusting a phone. It was the one Eric used for live streaming. His deep voice echoed, as if speaking to himself. And show Patapel Badada. Wait, you did the same thing to Daisy back then, didn't you? Posting her videos on the dark web to live stream, earning blood money this way. I stood frozen. What? Really? Posting my videos on the dark web to live stream? Why didn't I remember any of this? By then, Tae-jun seemed to have finished adjusting the live streaming phone. He turned back to face Eric. a bone-chilling smile on his face. "You like live streaming, don't you? Then you'll get your wish. Now, I'll use the exact method you used on her to live stream your death on the dark web." With that, he cut the ropes binding Eric's upper body, directly grabbed his left arm, and pushed it towards the rapidly spinning machine. "You didn't let Daisy eat or sleep, did you? Eric's pathetic cries and struggles were utterly useless." "No, I didn't mean to." "I'm sorry." The cold machine spun, and quickly the sound of breaking bones echoed, blood splattering everywhere. Eric's entire left arm was gone. The house was filled with his agonizing screams. Yet he still cried and pleaded. "Taeyeon, Daisy is dead. Please be merciful and let me go. I'll give you any amount of money. Please, I beg you." My scalp felt like it was about to explode. I was dead. My head suddenly throbbed violently. Countless interwoven images flooding my vision, blurred and unclear, making it impossible to distinguish reality from dream. A flash of white light, and I suddenly remembered something. Yes, I really was dead. I was killed by Eric. The story was still this story. Only after Eric brought me to the villa, some things happened, things I had forgotten. In reality, as soon as we arrived at the villa, Eric revealed his true colors. My boyfriend was not as gentle as I imagined, nor was he as good to me as I thought. In the vast villa, there were only the two of us. He threw my luggage into a storage room and locked it tight. "Tight," he said to me coldly. "You're this old and you still need the things your dad gave you?" Disgusting, isn't it? I stood frozen. Disgusting? But what he called disgusting were just the dolls that had been with me since childhood and the pillow I slept with. I thought perhaps Eric was just being irritable. I didn't argue or confront him. But unexpectedly, things only got worse. Eric pointed to a room in the corner of the second floor and told me, "This will be your room from now on." I stared at the number 99 on the door, pondering as I asked him, "But don't boyfriends and girlfriends usually sleep in the same room?" He looked at me with a cold face, from head to toe, disgust clearly visible in his eye. "A dirty thing like you wants to get into my bed?" "You wish." My eyes immediately reddened. I didn't understand why Eric was humiliating me like this, but he had no intention of explaining. I could only look around the room he called mine. It was called a room, but there wasn't even a bed. The entire gray room was incredibly suffocating. In the middle of the room was an iron stand, and on it, a large empty glass display case. Only that one item in the entire room carried an inexplicable strangeness. I turned and asked Eric, "But there's no bed. Where will I sleep?" Unexpectedly, Eric suddenly gripped my neck tightly, grabbed my hair, and dragged me to the staircase entrance. He pointed to a large iron cage in the attic and said coldly, "You'll sleep here." I screamed in pain, trying to pull his hand away, but he slapped me hard. "You little slut. You dare to fight back? Be careful. I'll kill you." I stared at him in disbelief. Why had Eric become like this? Clearly, he didn't treat me this way at first. He once said, "Daisy, you're so adorable." "Daisy, I want to protect you for life." "Daisy, will you be my girlfriend? I'll treat you well." He had even promised my stepfather. My stepfather had even helped me choose. Why had it turned out like this? I was locked in the cage by Eric. The iron bars were thick. There was no way out. A huge lock hung on the iron door. There was nothing inside. I could only huddle there. The villa was too large, always dim and dark. I couldn't tell what time it was, nor did I know how long I had been locked in the cage. Or perhaps I was confused from hunger. I only knew I was very hungry and very thirsty. I must have gone days without eating or drinking, or even going to the bathroom, because I no longer had the strength to stand up. As my head reeled, I suddenly thought of my stepfather. Although he always liked to hug me, touch me, kiss me, and even though he was peculiar, overly passionate, and controlled me too much, nor had he ever hurt. On the contrary, he cooked delicious food for me, bought me beautiful dresses. My stepfather was so good to me. When Eric appeared again, he brought a young woman with him. The petite woman squatted in front of the iron cage, scrutinizing me. Seeing a stranger, a glimmer of hope sparked in my heart. A girl would surely be kind. I was saved. I would definitely be saved. I couldn't help but reach out to her, letting out a weak sound. Help me. Unexpectedly, a delighted smile appeared on the girl's face. Darling, I didn't expect it to have the strength to cry out after being starved for so long. Such tenacious vitality. Eric heard her and walked over, hugging the girl and kissing her forehead. Lily, isn't this even better? It'll be more interesting to kill it slowly when I leave stream. Lily smiled and kissed Eric's face. You're so clever. All right, I'm hungry. Go cook quickly. I'll give it an injection, just in case it dies before the live stream. My heart ached as I watched this wicked couple show affection. Wasn't Eric my boyfriend? Why was he involved with this girl named Lily? Moreover, they looked incredibly intimate, as if they were the real couple. Eric, who is she? I asked, unwilling to accept. If he already had a girlfriend, why did he get involved with me? But Eric didn't bother to pay attention to me. He calmly left, going downstairs to the kitchen. Lily, meanwhile, took a box of medicine from Eric's room. She held a large syringe, pumping some pale blue liquid into it. It looked ominous. No, don't do that. Let me go home, please. I mustered what little strength I had left to try and move to the other side of the cage to prevent Lily from touching me. The iron cage was pressed tightly into a corner, so I couldn't squeeze past. Lily seemed angered. Ah! Holding the syringe, she looked down at me coldly. What good is struggling? I have the key. With that, she pulled out a bunch of keys from her hip, slowly unlocking the cage. I watched her nervously, one hand holding the syringe, the other the keys. She was completely unguarded at that moment. Perhaps this was my only chance to escape. Thinking this, I seized the moment. As soon as she removed the lock, I desperately pushed her and scrambled out. Lily screamed behind me, Eric, it's running! The man downstairs quickly rushed up, his heavy footsteps thudding on the stairs, making me jump. I couldn't run downstairs anymore. Gritting my teeth, I clung to the wall, stumbling towards the countless rooms on the second floor. My room was number 99. Were there really 99 rooms here? I ran and thought wildly, my hands constantly pushing at the doors on either side. This one locked. This one also locked. This one too. The screams behind me grew closer and closer. Daisy, if I catch you, you're dead. I fled in panic. Finally, I frantically pushed open a door. Dazzling fluorescent lights hung from the ceiling, making me dizzy, clearly illuminating the entire room. Before my eyes was a layout, identical to my room, number 99. The only difference was that in the glass display case in this room, there was a person. A dead person. A dead person preserved as a specimen. A woman with her abdomen cut open. From outside the door, Eric's voice slowly echoed. "Oh, you found it, did you? This is specimen number 90. She was carrying several children at the time, and Lily and I cut her open alive. We killed her children and made her into a specimen. Don't you think it's beautiful, Daisy?" I trembled uncontrollably, no longer having the strength to run. 4 bare walls. I had no escape route. The door was kicked open, and I fell into the devil's clutches. Eric and Lee bound me, beat me, and kicked me, until I was covered in injuries. Barely breathing, my scalp was dragged downstairs. Since you didn't listen, today we'll just live stream your demise. Let me think. How should I kill you? Or would you like to choose a death method from the 98 predecessors? It turned out that the number 99 was never a room number, but the number of people who had died at Eric's hands. Those he lived, streamed, tortured to death. Those who died and were then turned into mementos, transformed into specimens. I trembled non-stop, screaming, but no one heard. Eric dragged me to the first floor like a dead fish thrown onto the ground. "Have you thought of a way to kill her yet?" Lily asked, eating grapes. Eric finished setting up his live streaming equipment, turned, and smiled at Lily. "Of course. It'll be absolutely thrilling." With that, under Lily's expectant gaze, he brought out a gigantic shredding machine. Ding ding, suddenly, his phone rang. Eric walked over to look, then glanced at me, smiling eerily. "Daisy's dad. Do you want to talk to your dad?" My eyes widened. My stepfather? Was it my stepfather? Perhaps seeing the anticipation in my eyes, Eric broke the call right in front of me, the corner of his lips curling into a malicious smile. "Don't worry. I deliberately won't let you call for help. Your dad will know how you died later. On the dark web. Ha ha! Amidst the roaring machinery, amidst intense pain, amidst intense pain, amidst overflowing blood, amidst my frantic screams and struggles. Amidst Eric's constant thank you, big brother, for your support to his audience, I was shoved into the shredder. Pain, intense pain. My flesh contracted, my bones shattered, an unbearable agony. Lost memories suddenly rushed back into my head, making my forehead throb violently. Every arm, every bone, every shred of flesh ached uncontrollably. If my memories weren't lying to me, then I was truly dead. But I was in a state of shock. If I had been live-streamed and killed by Eric, what was I now? Was I a ghost, or had I been reborn? In the study, Taijun's voice continued. "My Daisy, did he torture you? Did he bully you, beat you, hurt you, and finally kill you? You deserve to die. You deserve to die. Eric, having lost his left arm, was almost unconscious from the pain. Unexpectedly, Taijun took a familiar medicine box from nearby, pulled out a syringe and a vial of medicine, and injected Eric. "Wasn't that Lily's medicine box?" Taijun said coldly. "Don't worry, I won't let you die so quickly." After injecting him, Taijun grabbed Eric's right arm and shoved it into the mixer. "I was wrong! I was wrong! I'll go to jail. Please let me go. I'll turn myself in right now." Eric's tears and snot flowed like a river as he pleaded desperately. Taijun was unmoved. "It's too late. The law can't punish scum like you, but I can." The sound of crushing bones echoed again from the mixer. Eric's right hand was also gone. I don't know why, but before I knew the truth, my compassionate heart, which usually couldn't bear such a sight, was now silent. Remembering how I was thrown into the shredder and suffered excruciating pain, my heart was filled only with hatred. I wanted Eric to die, but that shouldn't be my doing. There was something very important I seemed to have forgotten. Listen, when I brought Daisy home, she was just tiny. I considered her my only family, cherished and cared for her, hoping she would grow up healthy and happy. But what did you do to her? You killed her! You tortured her! Taijun roared, completely disregarding Eric's life. He picked up Eric's left leg and swung it into the mixer. "Ah, you did the same thing to her, didn't you? Shoving her body into a press, crushing her limbs, draining every drop of blood and bone from her. Now, it's your turn." I silently listened to Taijun, trying to recall the fragmented pieces in my mind. Layer upon layer, blurry, as if someone had covered them with a thin veil of mist. Eric's left leg was pulverized. He was almost unconscious from the pain. Taijun didn't care. He again reached for that medicine box, injecting him with something else. Not long after, Eric regained consciousness. As soon as he opened his eyes, he screamed in panic. "Taeyeon, he's a devil! He's a devil!" Eric saw Taijun wasn't paying attention to him, so he stopped pleading. After losing 2 arms and 1 leg, he seemed to have given up. I clearly heard his deranged curses. "I'm a human. I'm human. How dare you? How dare you kill me for a cat? Daisy is just an animal." A flash of white light before my eyes made me slightly dizzy. My scalp felt like it was being ripped off, and the foggy screen covering the truth slowly cleared. That's right, I remembered. Taeyeon wasn't my stepfather. He was my owner who adopted me. I wasn't human. I was just a cat. I was simply a cat. All the illogical memories suddenly made sense. Why was my mother always surrounded by so many promiscuous men? Why did my mother abandon me? Why was my stepfather always so passionately and perversely affectionate towards me? Why did he like to touch me? Why did he give me to Eric? Why was I so easily shoved into Eric's shredder? Finally, I remembered everything. I was a calico stray cat. My mother was also a calico stray cat. When I was born, our whole family, along with my mother, roamed the vast city. Gutters were our home. Garbage dumps our kitchen. We endured the chasing and poisoning by humans because we were stray cats, polluting the city's image. Of course, there were also good people. They gave us food and made shelters for us. One day, a young man came to our area. He often brought a lot of cat food and canned goods, distributing them to my mother and us. He was often thoughtful, rarely smiled, and looked intimidating. But when he stroked my head, he was very gentle. When he held me, he was very careful. He came continuously for a very long time, until one day my mother pushed me towards him. "Little one, this man is very kind. He has a lot of food, and his family situation seems stable. Go with him." But I cried and pleaded with my mother, but she bit me, forcing me to follow the man. The man seemed to understand, looking at my mother in surprise, stroking her fur. "You want me to adopt this little one?" My mother nodded, her face solemn. "Human. This one looks most like me, the most beautiful among us. You must take good care of it." After that, my mother also warned, "If one day you no longer like it, let it go back to being a stray. Don't harm it." I meowed pitifully, thinking to myself that he probably couldn't understand. "Mommy, I was given such a cute name. Daisy." The man gave it to me. Little one, you are Daddy's kitten. Daddy's treasure." Daddy has no family. From now on, we are father and daughter, okay? He said that while gently stroking my fur, making me purr contentedly. At that time, by human reckoning, I was only 3 months old, but by cat years, I was already 3. Initially, I resisted, because my mother had warned me to always be wary of and avoid humans. But this man truly knew how to charm a cat's heart. He bought me sweet goat's milk, delicious, crunchy imported cat food, and all kinds of toys. He made me a warm bed, a cozy sleeping nest, and even installed a cat tree in the house. Fearing I would make noise and bother the neighbors, he specially soundproofed the house. But our happy life passed quickly. Before long, I had become a senior cat in the cat world. By human time, I was 2 years old. By cat years, I was already 20. My owner, Tai-jun, began to leave early and return late frequently. His complexion pale. I smelled a strange scent on him. At the time, I didn't understand that it was the smell of death. He often held me, stroking my fur and talking to himself. "Daisy, Daddy has a serious illness. It seems incurable. If Daddy is gone, what will happen to you, my little one?" I didn't quite understand his words, but I knew he was very sad. I was sad too. Tai-jun looked for someone to adopt me. He often took me out to play, giving me half a day of semi-freedom. I knew the way back and could slip through the window to get home by myself. The new owner was the person I met when I secretly went out to play. His name was Eric. But for some reason, Eric and I bonded at first sight. Knowing that Tai-jun had a serious illness and could no longer keep a cat, Eric came to play with me for several days in a row. Tai-jun gradually trusted him. The only thing Tai-jun worried about in this world was me. Now that I had a good place to go, but still not at ease, he pretended to take a few thousand from Eric as a deposit. This was a paid adoption. Later, I learned that as long as Eric treated me well, Tai-jun would return the money. He never intended to sell me for profit. He and Eric were two completely different kinds of people. He didn't tell Eric that he had a serious illness. He only said that he had to go abroad for a trip and wouldn't have time to take care of Daisy. You must treat her well. I'll visit periodically. My owner had arranged everything meticulously. When I was adopted by Eric, I finally realized humans can be so terrifying. My mother was right after all. Eric lived in a suburban villa. He had a girlfriend, a nurse named Lily. I was locked in an iron cage, deprived of food and water. Eric and Lily even beat me. Finally, one day, when Lily was injecting me, I slipped out of the cage. I explored the numbered rooms. It turned out that those locked rooms were all animal specimens, the result of Eric torturing them to death. He proudly considered them his trophies, and I was the next victim he would live stream torturing. He shoved me into the shredder. I meowed miserably, but no one cared. Eric and Lily stood by, excitedly explaining to the audience. It hurt so much, truly agonizing. I remembered Tyone. I had died. My soul floated in the void. I watched my body being made into a specimen by Eric and placed in room number 99. I don't know how long it had been, but I saw Tyone calling again and again. Eric never answered. I saw Tyone send a video screaming at Eric through the phone. That video was Eric's live stream of torturing a cat. It was the scene of me being shoved into the shredder, pulverized. I watched Eric curse at Tyone on the phone, casually challenging him. The state has no law against torturing or killing cats. If you're so good, kill me. It's just a cat. I gave you face. And you want to walk all over me? You gave her to me, so she's mine. I'll kill her however I like. People even eat dog and cat meat. If you're so saintly, go to Mount Ime. Finally, it seemed like a very long time passed again. I watched Tyone grow gaunt. He secretly entered the villa. His face was filled with madness, and he carried several tools. He drugged Eric and Lily, then dragged them away. He smiled at them. As you wished, I'll kill you. This time, I finally realized Tyone was not well. His entire body exuded a scent of decay. I wanted to stop him, wanted to call out to him. Don't kill people. Don't get entangled in karma. Don't break human laws because of me. But Tyone couldn't hear me. He left. I floated frantically in the villa's air, unable to leave, only able to shriek piercingly. Finally, a deep, resonant voice echoed in my ear. Daisy, cats have 9 lives. Do you want to live again? I was overjoyed. I do. The voice then said, if you live again, you will lose your memories of your previous life, like a newborn kitten. Are you willing? I hesitated. I wanted to find Tyone, to stay with him forever. But if I lost my memories, how would I find him? But if I didn't agree to live again, I would never see him. Finally, I gritted my teeth and nodded. Yes. Fortunately, perhaps because my obsession was too deep, I didn't lose all my memories. They were just jumbled memories, giving rise to the fictional stories from before. In reality, my father, my owner, Tyone, was not perverse at all. In fact, he was the best, kindest cat owner in the world. In fact, I loved him very much too. Reborn with jumbled memories, I returned to Tyone's house. I witnessed Eric being tormented by Tyone. One is all his finger wandering out. I lột dài out địa. Hành đế. It was only when Taijun shoved Eric's entire right leg into the mixer that my memories fully returned. I leaped into the study, jumping onto Taijun's shoulder. He started, then composed himself, saw me, and was filled with both joy and alarm. "Daisy, you're not dead. You're back." I meowed twice, staring intently at him. Taijun immediately calmed down, put on gloves, fearing he would get blood on my fur. He then carried me to the door, holding me carefully, weeping and laughing at the same time. "Daisy, I'm sorry. Daddy was wrong. Daddy shouldn't have given you to Eric." Still crying, he composed himself again. "You're not Daisy. Daisy is dead. Daddy recognized her in that video." He sighed and stroked my head. "All right, go now. Daddy can't take care of you anymore. Daddy is seriously ill, almost dying. After I kill this bastard, I'll end my own life. Go find a good owner." Eric was now a mangled piece of a person. Lying on the ground, seeing me suddenly appear whole, he widened his eyes and mumbled, "Not dead, not dead. Come back for revenge." In his eyes, I saw my own green pupils. Remembering the pain of being tortured in the villa, and my fellow animals who were live streamed and tortured, made into specimens, my heart gradually turned cold. "Eric, Lily." I stood at the door and meowed twice, trying to communicate with that deep, mysterious voice. "Cat God! Cat God! Are you the cat God?" "I want to ask you for one thing." The voice sighed, "Little one. I don't advise you to do this. Those 9 lives are the abilities granted to cats by the High God. Even if we die, we still have 8 chances to be reborn. Although becoming a new cat without memories, it is still a new chance at life. If you do this, you will die completely. Defying the High God's grace, you won't even have a chance at reincarnation. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Don't you regret it?" My heart trembled. I couldn't help but want to cry. I was truly scared, but I wanted those 2 legs to live well. Finally, I nodded firmly. "It's worth it. I don't regret it." Once again, white bones emerged, engulfing the entire house, restoring Eric's severed limbs, and even restoring Lily, who had been cast aside, lifeless. Finally, the white bones wrapped around their hearts, taking their lives. Their bodies vanished from the study, and 2 brand new corpses would appear in the villa. That, finally, I had taken my revenge myself. That's good. Those 2 legs won't be caught. 7 points of light, like stars, surged into Taijun in the house, gently enveloping him, pouring into his body, swallowing the scent of decay on him, and erasing a portion of his memories. I smiled, watching everything before my eyes, feeling my body slowly dissolving into the white bones. This time, I would leave forever. I gazed greedily at Taijun in the room, taking one last look. "Goodbye, my 2 legs." Postscript 1. Recently, 2 bodies were discovered in a suburban villa. ... Investigations confirmed that the 2 individuals died suddenly from unexpected causes. According to reports, the deceased were a couple and well-known streamers. Many animal specimens were found in the villa. The 2 derived pleasure from torturing animals. They had been reported numerous times, but no one could prosecute them because there were no general animal protection laws. This time, it seems, evil met its just retribution. Postscript to the Taijun always felt he had forgotten something important, but upon careful reflection, his entire life still seemed logically complete, with nothing unusual. He was an orphan, always solitary, with no friends or relatives. One beautiful sunny day, Taijun went for a walk alone. He walked and walked until he reached an underground culvert in a secluded forest, where he unexpectedly discovered a litter of kittens. The mother cat was a calico stray, wearily watching Taijun. Taijun gently pulled out cat food and canned goods from his bag to feed these poor little ones. The kittens, attracted by the food, quickly stumbled out, incredibly adorable. Beneath them lay an old book. For some reason, Taijun picked it up curiously. On its tattered cover, it read, "Cat God's Diary." Below were a few soft lines. Why do cats all have 9 lives? By signing a contract with humans, they can use their lives to protect them. But if they face certain death, cats may pay a heavy price. Cats are not heartless. They simply don't like to express it. Cats themselves have seen many foolish little ones exchange their lives for human lives. For example, that silly one recently gave up 7 lives in one go just to help her owner who was suffering from a serious illness. In her tiny brain, there was only him. She wouldn't remember death and pain. She would only remember his dried fish and blanket and the feeling when he stroked her. Don't be sad. Love and courage are what kittens want to teach you. We will meet again. 2 legs. Yeah. Oh.